Hey guys, Rich from Richmond Gaming. Hope everyone is doing fantastically well. Welcome to another episode of the Weekly Bugle, joined once again by the one, the only Quinn Duggan. Quinn, how you doing?
Doing all right. I'm looking at some of these cool Lord of the Rings preview pictures.
I know, right? Galadriel
Yeah,
looks like an absolute badass elf.
I
She's
know, right?
she's gonna absolutely cause some destruction. But Quinn, we're not here to talk about how good or indeed bad some people may think the new Amazon show is. We're here to talk about all of the exciting MCP news that we've had this week. And are we ready, guys? We're getting Electra's card next week. Roll credits. That is your weekly MCP news, people.
You know, that sort of like royalty-free, like kids cheering thing.
Yay!
We need that with, we need that with like some like balloons and confetti.
Yeah, maybe. So it's been a slow week on the MCP news side of things, guys. So there isn't really any, but we do have a few other things that we want to talk about because me and Quinn are just off the back of an event at the weekend. We mentioned it last week, the second Illuminati Invitationals. Quinn, we've also just finished our draft tourney as well, so we'll have a quick chat around that. And then we'll do our painting competition, round it up and be home in time for tea.
Hopefully.
Perfect. So Quinn, starting then with the Illuminati Invitationals. So for those that are not aware of what it is, Quinn, the Illuminati Invitationals is an invitational event, just as it says, run by Aaron Collier from over at Web Warrior Protocols, a real good friend to the channel. And Aaron's an okay human being, you know, in the standards of the worst in the world ever and then the best. You know, he's somewhere edging, you know, he's working his way
more towards the worst end.
He's working his way towards the middle, is what I would say.
Very, very slowly.
Quinn, this is the second of these. I couldn't attend the first one because I committed to another event previously, but you were the reigning champion, so going in with high hopes. And we both decided, or I should have said you decided quite last minute, you were going to take your Guardians of the Galaxy roster out for a bit of a soiree. But I think it's fair to say we both came a little bit unstuck. I went 2-0 in the first two games. Were you 1-1 after the second round?
One because I played L in the second round, who is actually the person I beat in the finals of the previous one.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah. So you ended up going 3-1. I was 2-0, absolutely flying, and then I came up against Daz's Black Order. So Quinn, you ended up going 3-1, and I think obviously, as you mentioned, came unstuck against Elliot, who you, I believe, made cry last time round. You played.
That is definitely like the common legend told of the first Illuminati Invitationals.
Never let the truth get in the way of a good story, is what I always say, Quinn.
I mean, I don't have to because it is the truth.
I came unstuck in the third round, so I had two really, really good games. I played against Jenkins, first of all. Now I'm going to hold my hands up. I made a mistake. Yes, I went to an event. Jenkins wanted me to say this. So, Jenkins, this is for you. I am a content creator and I cheated at Marvel Crisis Protocol. All right, I hope he's happy with that. But I just made a stupid mistake. I'd have won the game anyway. The game was already out of reach for him.
You're already getting your excuses.
But Ghost Rider was KO'd and he came back. And I had a dazed Star-Lord, and I put him on a dazed Star-Lord, thinking in my head the way that I sort of worked through it was, because I wasn't sure, and I was like, oh yeah, of course you can, because it just says a character, it doesn't say a non-dazed character, and I went to the whole Medusa, Lockjaw, if you're in range. Then obviously we looked it up and realised that you can only measure from, you can't actually interact with. So it wouldn't have changed the outcome. I was so far ahead in that game anyway. But yeah, it was really, really fun. And then I came up against Chris. Now Chris had made a really, really interesting list, Quinn, because we had or should I say, Aaron had these different awards, didn't he, throughout the the event itself, and it kept it going for everyone because each round there was a different spot prize. So, for example, I won one of the spot prizes where it was the first character to daze a character that was a higher threat than them was one of them.
Yeah, I got the one like Face Off or something like that, where you kill someone with the same alter ego.
Oh,
as
the alter
yourself.
ego one, yeah.
My Ghost Rider ended up killing Martin Swafield's Ghost Rider in round 3, I think.
Okay, but the one thing I will say is that it kept it going throughout each of the rounds. So even if you were 0-3 going into the last game, there was still something to play for.
Yeah.
But the thing Chris was playing for was it Dance Off? I think it was called.
Dance Off, yeah.
Yeah, where if your leader either dazed or KO'd the opposition's leader, you got a point for each. And I believe he got 8 points. So every single round, he dazed and KO'd the enemy leader with his Magneto because he was playing Brotherhood. So it was really weird. So he came up and just like absolutely committed Magneto to just obliterating my Star-Lord. And I was a bit like, you've just powered up Magneto so much, and I've now got 5 power on Ghost Rider to go and do a penance there if I want. And I think in the end Ghost Rider just walked up and I think he incinerated him with his beam attack and then did a Chains of Damnation for the Hex and just basically pretty much one shot Magneto in round 1, I think it was. But then Magneto came back, and all he cared about was just killing Star-Lord. So it was a real fun game. It was an absolute bloodbath. Quinn, one that you would have enjoyed. But then, so I'm 2-0 at this point, and then I came up against the one list that I didn't want to come up against, and that was our good friend Daz, the Wargaming Dad, and his Black Order. I won priority, which I didn't want to do because I'd rather play on lower threat than
rather choose threat value.
Yeah, for me that was more important, and the board edge as well, because actually the board wasn't very symmetrical. There was a big size 5 building at one side of the board, and it was pretty open on the other side. Now we were playing senators. And basically, Star-Lord walked up, found the senator, the first action, or basically the
classic blunder.
The first go. But obviously has to pick it up because he's found it. And then Thanos did Thanos things, moved up twice. He obviously had the space and the mind gem, so moved up. Was within range 3, I think it is, or 4 of Star-Lord. Teleported him once, mind gemmed him once, and. Yeah, Corvus and Proxima just laid into Star-Lord, and that set the tone. But because that building was there, he was able to just take characters out of the game completely. But then even when it came to, Groot and Rocket, who, had been putting in some real work for me in other games, even though everyone was clumped up, I couldn't get a deadly duo off, because everyone was behind this size 5 building, and anytime I tried to move up, Thanos would then activate and just separate Groot and Rocket, so they were never close enough to do deadly duo. So yeah, I was always on the back foot. I think we went 2 VPs each the first round, but then second round onwards, he was just clocking up from the KOs. And it was really, really hard. I probably made some mistakes in the squad selection. I actually spoke to Daz about it again the other night because we were sort of breaking it down. I think Ronan for me would have been a better choice than Gamora, which is who I ended up taking. Ronan, and I think Quinn, we spoke about this before, haven't we? His floor is very, very high, because the worst case scenario is if Black Order one-shot him, he gets to do a Kree Justice attack, which is an 8 dice energy.
Gets to judgment a few people whilst he's at it.
Yeah, so I think he's got 6 health. So if he takes, 6 stamina on his front side, and his Kree Justice is 4, 4 power. So even if he does, even if he does get taken out round one, and all that health goes off him, he's got, because he's probably not getting one shot as Ronan. He's got enough there to not get one shot. He can hand out a judgment, and as you say, we can then do the Kree Justice, and there's a chance that if it's Proxima or even Corvus that does that, that blow or that final blow on him, the 8 dice energy, there's a real good chance of spiking some dice there and doing some serious damage to
even if
to
you
one of
don't,
those
right,
guys.
if you get the damage through, you're putting stun and stagger on them, that's pretty good.
Yeah, which then has an impact to the next round, reduces the likelihood that they're going to be able to, just come back next round, because obviously he's going to have priority, and he can then, hopefully get his action in, or his activations in, to build some power up, do some more damage before they then come and inevitably murder him. But he's still going to have enough power to do that Kree Justice off the back end. So. Yeah, as always, though, enjoyed the game with Daz. And then into the 4th round. So really at this point, we're not playing for anything, other than sort of, joint second place. Came up against Mike Ryder and his Web Warriors. And I just decided to go full Guardians wide. It was the first game that I dropped Ghost Rider out of. And it didn't work. Web Warriors were actually, he played them a lot more aggressive than what I would have expected. I was winning at first couple of rounds were on me, but then he had a couple of dicey swings, or swingy dice even, I should say, that were overperformed, and yeah, in the end it was too much. But all very, very enjoyable games, Quinn, and I'm sure you'll agree a really, really well run event by Aaron and the guys over at Board and Brum.
Yeah, absolutely great one.
So, Quinn, as we mentioned, you won your first game, but do you want to run through and tell us about how your games went?
Yeah, so my first game, where I was up against Dom, who is sort of part of the local community at Borden Brum, a friend of Aaron and Els. And he's an X-Men player, in quotation marks, because of the 10 characters in his roster, 3 of them were X-Men.
Oh, wow, okay.
So he had Storm, Domino, and Beast as his 3 X-Men, and then Winter Soldier, which I think says a lot about the state of the X-Men characters when you'd rather have Winter Soldier.
The
we ended up
Wolverine.
playing on hammers and I believe
Portals, wasn't it?
yeah, the spider portals. And so we decided to play at, I believe, the higher of the 2 threats. So 18.
Yeah, it was 18 threat, yeah.
I don't know why I'm confused by this. Spoiler, I played the exact same threat every game the entire day. So all of my games were at 18 threat. And I ended up taking Star-Lord, Rocket Groot, Nebula, Drax, and Ghost Rider. And I took those 6 characters for all 4 of my games, because as I said, they're all the same threat.
Yeah, I mean, you did pretty well, Quinn. So you went 22 and 14 in the first game. We'll ignore the second game for the moment. Close game against Martin from Tales of Crisis.
I actually won that game off the back of the final dice roll of Ghost Rider.
Wow.
He like revved his engine up, rode in, and like slapped Voodoo, and just about managed to KO him to get 2 hammers off of him that he then picked up and won the game with.
Okay, so that was really close then.
Yeah.
And then rounding it all up, you played John, who was running Midnight Suns, didn't you?
Yeah, I love playing against John. It's the second time I played against him. He's actually the person that taught Aaron how to play the game. So obviously everyone should hate him for what he's unleashed on the world. But yeah, John's a super cool guy. Like, very much sort of in the theme of the game. Like you were actually on the table next to us, and I think you might have overheard us just sort of humming songs from the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack constantly.
Very much, yes. Yeah, it was enjoyable to listen to and watch.
We had another Ghost Rider off. So in the game against Martin, I had a Ghost Rider off. That's when I got the spot prize for killing the enemy Ghost Rider with Ghost Rider. And then in this game, we had another Ghost Rider off. And like, yeah, I managed to sort of burst down his Ghost Rider, but unfortunately the 2 hammers he had on him weren't quite in range to be picked up by mine in range 1. He then had priority the next round, picked them up, like, ran away a little bit. And effectively, it was me sort of biding my time throughout the round to get enough power on Ghost Rider for him to be able to Hell on Wheels up, get an attack, and do a penance there. However, it never quite worked out that way. And after Groot, so I was on one flank with Rocket and Groot fighting Black Cat. At some point, Rocket just shot her in the face point blank and did all 5 damage to her, after previously just missing every single attack. That then freed up a hammer for Rocket to have, and then freed up Groot to go wandering a little bit. He walked forward, just about got into range 3 of Ghost Rider, and, like, from the vantage on top of this building, he just, like, branched down on him. And he did a 5-dice attack, and I think he did about 5 damage.
Oh, wow.
It was ludicrous. And, like, so that means that John's Ghost Rider is now on, like, 2 health. So, as my last activation of that round, it ended up being my Ghost Rider, instead of doing, like, Hell on Wheels and trying to build power and stuff, he walked forward and just did a penance there. And because John had 2 hammers on his Ghost Rider, he physically couldn't deal with the devil if I killed him.
Oh.
Because he was on 7 power, he had 2 hammers, which means deal with the devil costs 6 total.
Yeah.
And then he had 2 health on him. So that 7 goes down to 5 for the damage I deal, and then he couldn't quite bring him back.
Very interesting, yeah.
That spelled the beginning of the end. And I think Black Cat managed to steal Rocket's hammer and, like, run off into a corner of the board. And just out of spiteful vengeance, I had Groot double move down over towards where she was. Rocket then had to move to get line of sight on her. And I did a shot into her, did, like, 2 damage. And he was like, oh yeah, she's going to be fine. And I was like, deadly duo. I've held on to this the entire game. Bam! And I managed to kill Black Cat in the final round of the game to get a hammer. It didn't, like, swing anything at all, but I just wanted to do it because I like killing Black Cat because I hate her stupid face.
And then your second game, Quinn, another really, really close fought one, wasn't it? The only game that you lost of the day. So you played Elliot, as you mentioned earlier, who you made cry last time round. CS versus, obviously, your Guardians. You played Fear Grips at 18 threat again, but then you were also on the Terrigen Clouds as well, weren't you? So was it as close as that 16-14 makes it out to be, or?
Yeah, there were a couple of really pivotal dice rolls. So very early on in the game, I think round 2 or 3, I think 2 in fact, Elliot managed to get up to like 13 VPs.
Oh wow!
And I was really lagging behind. I was on like 3, I think. But then that third round, I had a massive sort of comeback turn. And it ended up being 16-14 in the end.
16-14. So yeah, so El got one back on you there, but overall winners.
I didn't cry though, so you know.
Overall winners on the day, as we mentioned, were Daz and Ron. Daz with his Black Order, Ron with his Wakanda. Quick look at the statistics then. So Black Order won 75% of the games, as did Wakanda. Guardians then just behind on 67%. X-Men won 50%. Now, it sounds like a lot, but they only played 4 games. So, you know,
I think the only X-Men player there was Dom, which just means he went 2-2 on the day.
Yeah. Asgard, another, you know, there was one person representing Asgard won 50%. Midnight Suns, Midnight Suns, 16 games, 44% win rate. Web Warriors, 17 games, 41%. So way below what we're seeing for Web Warriors. I don't know if that was players, if that was unlucky. You know, it's never a big enough sample size, but that's obviously way under the usual win rate. A-Force, you know, won 25%. CS won 38%. And Brotherhood won 25%. So, you know, it's always hard to take any sort of stats from a single game, Quinn, and say, oh, we've been to, you know, we've seen this event now, and therefore that means that this is the new meta and everything else.
Yeah, unless it's like an exceptionally large event, or, you know, like
Something like the
typically
TTS League
single.
7 will be able to take some stats from
Yeah,
and
exactly.
get a
Like
better
typically,
idea.
single events aren't really stat worthy, right?
No, not at all.
They're
Not
just
at all.
too small. They're a bit of a microcosm, aren't they?
They are, but the one thing I'm going to say, and I think we're going to see this a lot over the next 6 months, is Black Order. Everyone thought Black Order had been given a big nerf. I actually think Black Order are in a better position now than they ever have been.
Well, they are far easier to dual affiliate with now.
Which is the
big
main thing, right? Typically, I don't know about you, Quinn. I'm seeing them taken with CS. I'm seeing them taken with Wakanda. Seems to be the go-to strategy.
Red Warriors, I've seen a lot of them comboed with.
And I think now the thing is, as a Black Order player, is that they have some matchups that they're just really, really, really bad at. Lower threat, wider objectives are a nightmare for them. So the way now as a Black Order player to overcome that is you don't play Black Order. You take Web Warriors or Wakanda or Criminal Syndicate. There's potentially even some Guardian synergy there as well, right? To be able to take them. I mean, they're quite good in the fact that they can probably take anyone they want, and it's going to work as long as it plugs a gap that they don't currently fill. I don't think a Brotherhood affiliate, dual affiliating with Black Order is going to work particularly.
Some sort of weird Mystique Brotherhood thing, and left big man mags at home.
Maybe, yeah. But it was a really, really well run event, and I had fun. And as I say, really, really well done by Aaron and the guys at Boarding Brum. One other thing that did happen, Quinn, this week is, me, I'm a cheeky little badge collector. And obviously, I was knocked off my top spot of Brotherhood by, nobody of any import that we won't mention
during the last Illuminati Invitationals.
I think it may have done. Yeah, I went 4-0 with Brotherhood and somehow ended up losing my top spot, which was annoying. But
maybe the other person had gone 4-0 with Brotherhood as well.
Yes.
And had played against higher rated players.
Maybe that was the thing, yeah. But I did manage to become captain of the Milano. Insert the I am the captain now gif, because that's the thing. So I'm really happy about that. I think it took me...
speaking of badge collecting, I got one myself as well.
Oh, you did, didn't you? What did you get this week, Quinn?
I got the Centurion badge, which means I have 100 games on Longshanks, which is a little bit sad.
Also known as No Life. But there we go. Quinn, one last little note and another feather in your cap in terms of going and collecting things. Some of you may have seen we were running our first ever draft event. If you're not sure what a draft event is, I'll leave a link or I'll put something in the video and you can go and check that out. Well, basically, Quinn, you... After a much delayed final game with Jonah due to PC issues, you managed to become supreme champion of the first Rich Mid draft event, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. With just the unbridled power of Hulk, Strange, and Steve.
It's not a bad combo.
Had a zero-sum game in the final where nobody scored any points. But we got to turn 5, and Jonah was sort of like, oh, we're one turn away from the end of the game. If I get a VP now, I might be able to withstand both Steve and Strange against my flipped Thanos. And he got that one point, I was like, you, how dare you, sir? He then moved, he did a bunch of stuff to, move Strange around and punch him and, get him out of the way so that Thanos could then Cosmic Portal and walk himself onto the herb. Unfortunately for Jonah, he actually left Strange within a medium move of the intrusion portal. The central one.
Okay.
Because he just completely forgot that, you can teleport through them. I had Strange then walk forward, teleport through the thing, go to the one he wanted to, which was right next to Thanos, do a Bolts of Bedevilment, push through 1 point of damage, which then allowed me to push Thanos out of the way of getting any VPs. Strange then like healed himself and jumped through the portal again to the other side of the board to make sure he was safe from Thanos for the time being. And Steve, just about with 2 short moves after being slowed and like portaled around and stuff by Thanos, just about managed to like, very, very slowly trudge up the board onto that middle point to get me 2 VPs, meaning that on round 6 we ended the game 2-1.
Jesus. My word, that would have been a good one to watch. But yes, Quinn is the champion of our first draft event. It's something that we will be doing again, probably not for a couple of months. TTS season 7 is starting, and that's quite a big commitment for people already. Plus, we also have lots of other things going on as well. But rest assured, by the end of the year, we'll try and get in at least 1, maybe 2. And if you're interested in running your own draft event, because they're really, really easy to do, again, there'll be a link to the video that we did setting up ours down in the description below. Quinn, on to one of my favourite parts of the show that we do every week, Do You Even Paint, Bro? And to celebrate our friends across the pond, eventually getting their hands on characters that are just old news to us now over in the UK and the rest
you guys are still going over like Hulkbuster and Ms. Marvel.
So Miss Marvel, that was the competition for the week, or challenge for the week. And what we wanted was a single picture of Miss Marvel in both her normal and embiggened form. Quinn, we argued last week that embiggened wasn't a word. You declared it was made up. I countered that all words were made up, therefore it's a word. But we, as always, have 2 honourable mentions, and then we have our winner of the week. So first honourable mention then, Quinn, goes to Sigmar's Revenge with this really nice, I'm going to say, framed this photo really, really nicely. Sort of, Kamala stood at the front, fully in focus, and then her embiggened version at the back, slightly out of focus. I do really, really like that. And I like the sort of comic book-esque style that they've gone for with the little sort of black, I want to say like hashtag, is that what they're called? Sort of marks on her outfit there. Hashes, that's the one.
That's a Twitter thing, I think.
That may be a Twitter thing, yes, that the youth do. But yeah, I really, really like this. And for someone who has been dabbling with cartoon style or comic book style characters and bases, I can fully appreciate what they've done here.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Second honourable mention then goes to Gavin Whitehork. And I am a big fan of this one. I think the highlights in particular on the embiggened version around her knuckles and hands and things are really, really good. There's nowhere to hide with this model, Quinn. I don't know if you've painted it up yet, but big, flat...
I'm definitely not painted a thing, like, come on.
But big, flat red and blue surfaces. Contrast paints are probably not going to be any really sort of good here.
And crevices for them to seep into, is there?
Yeah, so I think that's an absolutely solid submission there. So well done to you, Gavin. But as always, guys, there can only be one winner every week. And Queen, I really, really like this entry from Not 47. The models themselves are really clean. The highlights are really nice. As I say, big areas of red. As we know, not the easiest colour to get good coverage on compared to, to some others. But the thing that stood apart for me, Quinn, on this model was the basing work, particularly on the embiggened version.
I really like sort of the orange and white stripes on like the road barrier. Like, I think that looks really cool. Like, there's some like tufts and gravel on there as well.
Yeah.
There's also like, you can only really see it on the thumbs, but like for the embiggened version, the thumbnails have been painted.
I know. I saw that after the fact, after we'd already decided that this was going to be the winning one, and I was like, oh my word! Like she's had quite a nice manicure, I think, for her embiggened version, hasn't she? It looks quite good. Maybe that's part of the the transformation process. But well done to everyone that's entered. Everyone that's entered will be put into our prize draw, where you will win or the winner will win a Rivals pack, so the Doc Ock versus Spider-Man. And congratulations to Not47 for being our winner this week. You don't win anything, you just get put up onto our wall of fame. Quinn, last week was my week, and I always dread when we get round to this part of the show, and I can see you looking gleefully at what you've come up with. So, what is the challenge for everyone next week?
It is the Juggernaut. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean Juggernaut, who is being newly released, although he is eligible. The Juggernauts are any characters on a 65mm base.
Oh, okay.
So you can have Hulks, you can have Ghost Riders, you can have Hulkbusters, you can have anything on that size base.
Okay, so anything that comes on a large base is the entry for this week. Okay.
I will state that if you take like Rocket Raccoon and put him on a 65mm base, that doesn't count.
Although if you made a really nice diorama of Rocket and Groot on the same base, I'd let you off.
If you do like a mega diorama, I might let you in, right? Well, that is the painting contest for this week.
I like it. Make sure you submit all your entries over on the Discord channel. There's a dedicated channel there called Painting Entries or something like that. You jump on the Discord, you'll see exactly where it is.
I think is the name of the channel.
Yeah, it's fairly intuitive, guys, and that's really it for this week. As I say, it was quite low or non-existent on actual official MCP news, but we did have a little bit to talk about with regards to some of the events that we'd attended over the last week, and the fact that I am the captain now, which I'm really, really happy about. I feel like I still need to get to that 600 mark, Quinn, before I can sort of park them and move on to potentially X-Force could be my next endeavour, but we will have to wait and see. Guys, if you've liked this video in any way, shape or form, all we ask is that you give the video a like. It really, really does help. And if you want to support the channel even more, we do have our Patreon up and running. And as I mentioned, there is now a new tier on there, and it will give you access to our monthly event that off the back of you can win points and then in turn convert those points into prizes. We also have the normal merch store up and running as well, where you can purchase some MCP inspired t-shirts. I do need to order myself one of the Dubstep is for Pussies X-Force one, especially if they're going to be my next endeavour.
Yeah. Good shout.
Head over to the Discord, guys. It's on there. It's completely free to join. You don't have to be a Patreon member or anything like that to be on there. Submit your rosters. There's lots of other people on there as well who you can talk to MCP about, share ideas with, and other such things. Plus a whole bunch of other content creators as well. So make sure you go and check that out. And guys, as always, it leaves me with just enough time to say stay well, keep safe, and until next time, bye for now.
See you.